I'm going to stay with this issue because let's talk about politics and the media, because something's happening in this country that deserves to be called out. Now, last month it was 10 years since I started here at Sky News, and a decade too of me writing a column each weekend in the Sunday papers. So these comments come from someone who's now worked at the pointy end of both media and national politics. As you know, I don't call myself a journalist, and I correct anyone that does. If anything, I'm a lawyer by training and a political strategist by profession. Here on Sky News, I host an opinion program, and that's what you get every night of the week. My opinion and the opinion of my guests on all the big issues facing our country. But that's an honesty you don't always get from others, do you? From the media types who like to masquerade as straight-back journalists, when in fact, it's opinion dressed up as straight talk. And it's about as biased as you get. Now, as you know, it's what they say that's a concern, but just as relevant, it's also what they don't say, what they leave out, the questions they're not prepared to ask, the politicians they go easy on. Like this tripe from Green's Bother Girl, Sarah Hanson-Young.
They get nasty, they divide, and they set people up against each other.
Senator Hanson's in Italy with Lena Reinhardt.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, I wished I hadn't seen it. One of those things you think, images you don't want in your head.
And look, these are the pictures she was snidely referring to. Now, do we read that nastiness as some sort of commentary on the appearance of Mrs. Reinhardt? Or the fact that Pauline Hanson was in Sicily on a break? Hard to know, because not one journalist in the Canberra press pack was willing to take her on with a follow-up question. Not one. See what I mean? That's not unbiased reporting, is it? Nor is this. Headlines today that Barnaby Joyce lost his cool, lost his temper last night on the ABC. It was even the lead story on Morning Talkback Radio in Melbourne when I switched it on at 6 o'clock. And here's what caused the latest bout of One Nation outrage.
Are you really comfortable with where she is taking you?
I think... Sit down! Sorry, it's a dog. I have to apologise for this dog, which has decided to bail up.
Don't worry about the dog, just answer the question.
Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Otherwise, this interview will come to a grinding halt, Sarah.
I mean, seriously, you wouldn't have wanted to hear my dad in the paddock. Sit down, you mongrel. I mean, that's about the best of what he said that I can put to air. Sit down, you mongrel, to working dogs. In the real world, a working dog cops a terse command. It's not a lap dog, and everybody knows it. It is this obsession with One Nation by so many in the media, designed, they think, to kill off Pauline Hanson's rise, that is in fact only helping to kick it along. Because understand this, the modern world we live in is information rich. Almost every person's got a device with them all day, every day, 24/7. And they're flooded as a result with news and video. What gets through to them on politics is, for the most part, little more than an impression. And so when Hanson's in the news, good or bad, her name and her brand cuts through. Trying to drag her down is actually doing the opposite. It's building her up. It's putting her on the same platform as the other two major party leaders. Case in point. Today, when she landed back into the country from her break, Pauline Hanson fronted a summit in WA and gave a very solid speech in Perth, followed by a wide-ranging Q&A on stage with the editor of the West Australian, Chris Dorr. Few of the questions were easy. Almost all of her answers were blunt and straight to the point. And what was clear is that she had the room in the palm of her hand.
It was not me advocating the White Australia policy. I was telling him when it changed.
Yeah.
So I've never advocated... Thank you. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's got nothing to do with that. You tell me one of the Greens that you want to spend time with. So that's why I'm very strong. On certain countries, you've got to say no. And I've got to...
And look, yes, it was WA, and yes, she was defending the hometown girl in Gina Rinehart. But in highlighting Mrs. Rinehart's years...
Albanese panics as Pauline Hanson vows to OUST him. Good day, and let me put something to you straight. Anthony Albanese is not panicking about Pauline Hanson because she is dangerous to the country. He is panicking because she is dangerous to him. And that distinction, ladies and gentlemen, is the whole story the press gallery refuses to tell you. Before we go further, if you want political analysis that does not genuflect to Canberra press releases and does not carry water for any party, hit subscribe and tap that notification bell. Aussie Insider does not do team colours. We do not protect Labour, we do not protect the coalition, and we certainly do not protect One Nation. We judge outcomes, not intentions. Now, back to it. Here is the judgment: One Nation's rise to the low 30s on the primary vote is not a media beat-up, and it is not a fluke. It is a verdict on a government that has spent 2 years talking about cost of living while ordinary Australians watch their power bills, their grocery bills, and their mortgage repayments climb regardless. Peta Credlin was right about one thing recently: the media's obsession with tearing Hanson down is backfiring spectacularly, putting her on equal footing with Albanese and Angus Taylor in preferred Prime Minister polling. But here is the part nobody in the press gallery wants to say out loud: that reaction only works because the underlying anger is real. You cannot manufacture a sustained polling surge out of thin air. You can only amplify a grievance that already exists. This is where the story gets worse. Multiple polls this year have shown One Nation's primary vote punching above the coalition entirely, at times running Labour within the margin of error two-party preferred. That is not a protest vote anymore. That is a structural collapse of trust in the two-party system, and Albanese knows it, which is exactly why his government has gone from ignoring Hanson to actively strategizing against her. When a Prime Minister starts calibrating his messaging around a minor party leader instead of his actual opposition, that tells you who he is genuinely frightened of. And why should any of this matter to you, sitting at home worrying about your rent or your electricity bill? Because when major parties get scared, they do not suddenly deliver better policy, they retreat into defensive politics. Energy security gets sacrificed to slogans. Negative gearing and capital gains tax reform, which polling shows Australians are genuinely split on, get shelved because nobody wants to hand One Nation another grievance to run with. Real reform dies, and you are the one who pays for it in higher power prices and a housing market still locked against first-home buyers. This is the part nobody wants to talk about. Hanson's own polling has not been immune to gravity either. Her National Press Club address, where she leaned hard into monoculturalism rhetoric and swiped at younger workers, cost her party real ground within a fortnight, with some polls showing One Nation's primary sliding back below Labour's. So do not mistake this for an unstoppable movement. It is a volatile one, built on protest energy rather than a coherent governing platform. That volatility should worry you just as much as government complacency does, because a party riding pure grievance is not obligated to explain how it would actually run a hospital system, fix energy grids, or manage the budget. So here is where the pattern sits, and this is the point mainstream coverage keeps missing because it is too busy either demonizing Hanson or fawning over her. The real crisis is not that One Nation is rising. The real crisis is that both major parties have spent so long managing perception instead of delivering outcomes that a protest vote now looks like a genuine electoral threat. Albanese's panic is not about Hanson's ideas. It is about his own government's failure to give Australians a reason to trust the system that is supposedly working for them. And that is a verdict on Canberra as a whole, not just one side of politics. When you next hear a minister insist inflation is moderating or a shadow minister insist the government is out of touch, ask yourself who benefits from you staying angry but distracted. Because right now, both major parties need you distracted more than they need you served. We are going to keep watching this one closely, because the next news poll and the next party room leak will tell us whether this panic in Canberra is a passing scare or the beginning of something the major parties can no longer control. Thank you for watching.